Welcome to Light Her Up, your go-to podcast for exploring what it means to align with your passions and create a life filled with freedom, ease, and fulfillment. I'm your host, Natalie Bernacchi, a mom, entrepreneur, and certified coach who left a 15-year corporate career to build a life aligned with my passions and help other women do the same. We'll be diving deep into topics like self-discovery, mindset shifts, and the courage to pursue the life you've always dreamed of. Thank you for being here and for prioritizing yourself. I'm honored to be a part of your journey. If you're ready to find your joy, reclaim your identity, and upgrade your life, you're in the right place. Now let's light it up. Hello, my loves, and welcome back to another episode of Light Her Up. Today, we're going to be talking all about manifestation. But before you roll your eyes or you think I'm just going to tell you, think positive and hope for the best. Let's get real. Manifestation is not about wishing, praying, or creating vision boards. And I'm not knocking vision boards. I personally love doing them and I do one every single year. But manifestation is all about taking inspired action, trusting your inner knowing, and stepping into the version of yourself who already has what you desire. Because here's the thing. You don't attract what you want, you attract what you embody. And in this episode, I'm going to break down what manifestation actually looks like in real life and how I've manifested huge things like moving to California, buying our dream home, even in a nearly impossible market, and getting pregnant against all odds. I'll be walking you through how each of these moments in my life came from not just believing, but deciding, acting, and trusting. So before we get into it, I have something super exciting to share. To celebrate the launch of Light Her Up, I am giving away an entire month free of private one-on-one coaching with me. That's 4 sessions where we'll walk through your limiting beliefs, rewire your mindset, and help you start living as your highest self now. And I'll be sharing the details on how to enter at the end of the episode, so stay tuned. Okay, so let's get into it. Let's start with a story about manifesting my dream move to California. When I was 19 or 20 years old, I was in college and I went on a spring break trip with a bunch of my girlfriends to Los Angeles. I went to school at ASU, Arizona State University, so it was like a 7-hour drive to LA. We stayed at Venice Beach and we all crammed into a tiny hotel room. I don't even think we were probably allowed to stay in that room, like all of us in one room, but we somehow managed to do it. And I just remember loving California so much. I was broke as hell. We were all crammed in a room. Now, looking back, like if that were me now, I'd be like, what am I doing? But I just loved California so much. I loved being by the water. I loved the vibe. The weather was amazing. Just everything about it. And I remember thinking like, I'm going to live here one day. I am absolutely going to live here one day. So then a few years later, when I was about 22 and engaged to Matt, we had gotten engaged at 22, and Matt's now my husband. We were driving home from visiting his family in California. And even though it pains me to say this, you guys, I used to smoke a pack of cigarettes a day. Honestly, sometimes 2 packs of cigarettes. For those of you who know me now, like at this stage in my life, you're probably thinking like, well, what the hell? I could never picture that. I know it's disgusting. Disgusting. Thing is, I don't even know how Matt was able to deal with that because he never smoked cigarettes. I still don't know how he dated a smoker, but thankfully he did because we're still together 20 years later. So anyhow, on that road trip, I was saying how much I wanted to move to California and, talking about what could we do to make that happen. In our relationship, I've always been the dreamer. He's more of the realist, and it's a good balance. And so he said to me, if you can quit smoking for a year, we'll move. And that was it, literally. That was the last cigarette I had ever smoked. I started smoking at 16 and I was 22. So that was 6 years. And I tried everything prior. I had tried quitting so many times. I did nicotine patches, gum, the nicotine gum, Wellbutrin. Nothing worked. But in that moment, I remember seeing myself, my future self, living in California, feeling free, breathing in the ocean air. Also, ironically, when you're in California, I don't know what it was, but it just felt like healthier. And so, like, I remember feeling like healthier, a non-smoker. And that vision gave me what I needed to quit. And I quit cold turkey, never smoked another cigarette again. Now, it ended up taking us 5 years to move, but that was the action I needed to take in order for us to move. We both stayed committed to the belief that California was meant for us. And in 2012, Matt was presented with a job offer that would relocate us to Southern California. And we made it happen. We moved to Redondo Beach. Now that is freaking manifestation. Setting a vision, making decisions like the version of you who already has it, and taking inspired action, even when you don't know exactly how it will unfold. So I set that vision. I got Matt bought into the vision. I made decisions like that version of me who already had it. So I quit smoking. I got healthy and taking inspired action. I put that in Matt's brain to get him on board. And he kept his eyes peeled for the opportunity for his job to relocate us to California. And it all worked out. Once we were settled in California, the next manifestation came, a home of our own. So when we first moved to California, we had rented a house because we wanted to get our bearings, figure out, like, get a lay of the land, figure out where everything was, because it was all like really new to us. And we definitely didn't want to buy a house and then regret it later. So we rented before putting our roots down. And about a year and a half after renting, we were finally ready to buy. But it seemed like the odds were not in our favor. The housing market was absolutely insane. Every single decent property was getting all cash offers above asking price within a day. And some houses didn't even hit the market before being swooped up. So I started feeling defeated. Matt did too. We were like, how the hell are we supposed to buy a home here? And Arizona prices were like, significantly less than California. At first, I fell into a scarcity mindset. I was thinking the only houses we can afford are going to be rundown pieces of shit. But then I got creative. I leaned into inspired action. And I remember we were sitting at home in the house that we were renting at the time. And I was watching a home improvement show, on one of those home improvement networks. And I thought, how do people get on these home buying shows? I really was perplexed. How do they get on them? There must be some way to figure out how to get on the show. And maybe if we got on a show like that, we would get access to listings before they hit the market. So I went all in. I started researching. I went to every single network's website. I tried to look for every single show under the sun. And I just started reaching out. And guess what? A producer called me back. The only thing was, they said we had to be in escrow first, and we weren't in escrow. And guess what happened about a month later? We found a home off market. It was an older home, so it definitely needed some renovating. But regardless, we found it. It had a lot of things that even some of the houses that we really wanted to buy or that we had put offers on before didn't have. It had 4 bedrooms instead of 3. If you're from Southern California, a lot of the houses are really small here. And we were planning on having 2 kids, and Matt worked from home at the time, so he needed an office. So we really wanted 4 rooms. It had 4 rooms. A lot of the houses have detached garages where the garage is in the backyard. And that was a big want for Matt. He wanted his garage attached to the house. And we had 2 dogs, so we needed a big yard. We had 2 big beagles at the time. And so this house had all of that. And we found it. It was off market. We got it before it even hit the MLS. We got it below asking price. We moved into the most amazing neighborhood with the best neighbors. And then, full circle moment, remember how I originally applied for home shows? Well, I reached back out to the one that said we had to be in escrow. And it just so happened that they were filming in California in our area and wanted to feature us on their show. So not only did we manifest our dream home, but we also got to document the entire renovation on TV. I literally tiled both bathrooms all by myself. We had a friend come out and he taught me how to do it. Matt and that same friend, they tiled the bathroom floors, the laundry floors. I painted every inch of the entire house, renovated the entire kitchen, completely gutting it, and I got my dream kitchen. And I'll never forget at the end of the show, they're sitting us down for a little interview, Matt and I, and they say, what are you most excited about now that you have this home of your dreams? And I said, I can't wait to raise our kids in this home. And this was before we had kids, before we had even started trying. But I remember clearly seeing and envisioning us having a boy and a girl growing up in this home, even though we hadn't even started trying yet. So long story short, had we been able to buy a brand new home, I wouldn't have been able to get the kitchen and the bathrooms of my dreams. And we wouldn't have had it all documented to be able to show our kids later down the road. Okay, so isn't it crazy when you manifest one thing, it lines up the next manifestation? Honestly, think about the last time that you've manifested something and how if that wouldn't have happened, the next thing that you manifest wouldn't have even been possible. So this is exactly what happened here. So after we renovated the home, we were like, okay, let's try to have kids. I went off birth control, and I did expect it to take a little time for my body to regulate. I had been on birth control forever. Honestly, I don't even know how long, but definitely since I was a teenager. And months went by. I was thinking maybe 2 months without a period, but no, 6 months, no period, no ovulation, nothing. Literally 6 months of no period. And I finally went to the doctor and she told me the most devastating news. She said, your body is essentially in menopause. And by the way, I was 29 or 30. So I was firstly freaked out. Why was I in menopause at 29 or 30? And I was also really sad because I really wanted kids and had this vision for my life. And she said, you're going to need medical help to get pregnant. And she also said there's a very slim chance that this will happen naturally, if at all. I was really, really devastated. But I also knew one thing. I had already envisioned my babies in this home. I had already seen them running through that hallway. I had already felt like it would be to be their mother. So I surrendered. I trusted. I didn't give up hope. I had to go in for a ton of blood work and labs because the doctor recommended that we start hormone injections to see if that would essentially jumpstart my body. Now, this was a while back, so I don't remember exactly what they were testing for in my blood, but they were looking for certain levels and specific times for you to come in and start your hormone injections. So I remember I had my final labs before I was supposed to start. And the day before my first hormone injection appointment, the doctor called and left me a voicemail, which I still have saved. And she said, hi, Natalie, we got your blood work back. And unfortunately, we have to cancel your appointment for the injections. And I was thinking to myself, what the hell? I was like, what is wrong? And she said, because you're already pregnant. I was like, what the hell? I was blown away. I was in complete shock. They had been telling me, there's no way you can get pregnant without help. You haven't had your period in 6 months. That's not possible. But then I got pregnant naturally without even having a period. And 9 months later, my daughter Maya was born. And then after Maya, it was like my body completely reset. I was back to normal, getting periods, everything totally normal. And then we tried for a second and had Jax without any medical intervention or assistance. The vision I held for my life had become my reality. If there's one thing I want you to take away from this episode, it's this. Manifestation isn't just sitting and hoping, it's believing in your vision. It's making decisions as your future self. It's trusting even when you don't see the results yet. And it's taking inspired action without forcing the how. And when you do that, magic unfolds. That was so fun going down memory lane. Now it's your turn. I want to hear from you about what you've manifested and what you're manifesting right now. What inspired action are you taking? Let me know. Hit me up on Instagram at The Light Within Collective. I would love to know. And don't forget, I'm giving away an entire month of private one-on-one coaching for free. And all you have to do is listen to at least one episode of Light Her Up, subscribe and leave a rating and review on either Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Share this podcast on Instagram with your biggest takeaway and tag me at The Light Within Collective. And then just shoot me a DM with the word podcast to be entered. I'll announce the winner at the end of February, so get those entries in. And that's all for today, my loves. Remember, you don't attract what you want, you attract what you embody. Start living as her now. Sending you so much love, and I will see you on the next episode. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Light Her Up. I hope you're feeling inspired and ready to take steps towards a life better than you ever dreamed. I see you, I hear you, and I'm so proud of you for showing up and prioritizing your journey. When you fill up your cup with love, you can pour so much more into the people and passions that matter to you most. If this episode resonated with you, I'd be so grateful if you subscribed, left a review, and shared it with someone who could use a little extra light. For more, check out our weekly 5-minute meditations or connect with me on Instagram at The Light Within Collective. I'm sending you my love, and I'll catch you on the next episode.